She laughed at the human's toy weapon, then he unleashed the real. Firepower from below, the sky over Earth's western desert turned dark as the alien ship arrived. It came quietly, without warning, a smooth silver beast floating above the dry ground. It didn't make a sound, but the air around it began to hum. People had run, cities evacuated, governments silent. Only one man remained in that area, now Sergeant Daniel Cole. He stood alone in the open field, dressed in old human military gear. Dust blew around his boots as he stared up at the giant ship above him from inside the alien vessel. Commander Zalara of the Dravari Empire watched the screen. Her violet skin shimmered under the control room's lights. She narrowed her eyes at the human below. "One soldier," she said, "is this their last hope?" Her crew chuckled behind her. One of her officers replied, "Maybe he got lost." Zalara smiled, but it wasn't kind. She turned on the loudspeaker that connected her ship to the ground. "Human." Her voice echoed across the sky. "Where is your army?" Sergeant Cole didn't speak. He simply raised his right hand, holding what looked like a small Wapina pistol. It was black, scratched, and worn, like something from a museum. Zalara looked at the tiny weapon and burst into laughter. Her officers joined in, their alien voices sharp and mocking. "That's your weapon?" She laughed again. "A toy. A child's plaything." Cole still didn't speak. He didn't raise the weapon either. Instead, he calmly looked at the ship, and then down at the dirt near his feet. He pressed a button on the side of his wrist device. A soft beep echoed in the silence. Then nothing. The laughter from the alien ship continued. Zalara leaned back in her chair. Waving her hand, "Scan the area," she ordered. "Let's see what he's hiding." Her ship's scanners went out in every direction. They found no human soldiers. No tanks, no aircraft, only the man, his old gun, and flat desert all around. But then something changed. The ground below Cole's feet made a soft rumble. Just a whisper at first. Then the sound grew deeper, louder. Like thunder trying to escape the ground, inside the alien ship, lights began to flash. Warning symbols appeared on the screen. "Commander," one officer said. "There's movement under the earth." Zalara stood up, serious now. "Show me," she said. A new screen opened, showing a heat signature from under the human's location. It was big, no, massive, and rising slowly. Back on the ground, Cole took a few steps backward. He didn't run, didn't panic. He simply watched the earth behind him split open with a deep cracking sound. Dust flew into the air as a huge metal plate lifted from beneath the ground. It slid to the side, revealing a dark hole below. From the shadows, something started to rise. The alien ship scanned again, confused. "It's a machine," said the officer, "but it's unlike anything in our records." Zalara's smile faded. Cole finally spoke, his voice calm and steady. "This toy is just the beginning," he said softly. Then he looked up at the ship, eyes cold. "You wanted to see our weapons," he said. "Now you will." From the underground vault, a tall structure rose, part machine, part monster. It had black armor plates, red glowing lights, and a strange hum like it was alive. It reached 30 feet into the air, still rising. Weapons lined its arms, shoulders, and chest. The machine stood behind Cole now, its lights scanning the alien ship above. It looked like it had been sleeping underground for years. Waiting, Zalara backed away from the control panel. "What is this?" she whispered, more to herself than anyone else. Her pride was gone, her laughter silent. Sergeant Cole raised his pistol again, not to shoot, but to point at the ship. "You invaded Earth, thinking we were weak," he said. "You laughed at our small weapons." He turned his head slightly, speaking into his wrist device. "Project Earth Clock, Devate." The machine behind him roared to life. Lights flaring, engines burning. The ground shook again as it stepped forward. For the first time in years, Zilara shouted, "Shields up. Prepare weapons." But the Dravari crew was already panicking. They had never seen this, never expected this. Earth, once quiet and broken, had just shown them its claws. And Sergeant Cole, he simply stood there, calm, as the future of the battle awakened behind him. The desert wind held its breath. Sand froze mid-air as something massive moved beneath the earth. Sergeant Cole didn't flinch. His eyes remained locked on the rising steel behind him. Far above, inside the alien warship, alarms screamed. Dravari officers ran from screen to screen, trying to understand. Something is waking below. One shouted, "It's not in any Earth records." Commander Zilara stared at the screens. The image showed dust swirling, metal shifting, and heat signals climbing fast. She clenched her fists. "This was no ordinary planet response, I told them," she muttered. "Humans don't have weapons like this anymore." Cole's voice suddenly came through the comms again. "You scanned our cities," he said. "But you didn't scan deep enough." As he stepped aside, the ground behind him split wider, and from within the earth, a second layer of steel slid open like jaws. Out of that black pit, something groaned, a deep, heavy mechanical sound that made even the air tremble. The Dravari ship began backing up slowly. Not by command, but by its own auto-threat system. It sensed something ancient. "Qua!" Zilara shouted. "Hold position!" But her voice cracked slightly, just enough for her crew to hear the fear down on the ground. Cole stood in front of the rising machine, its frame pushed past 30 feet now. Thick legs like towers, a torso covered in armor, its head a round dome with a burning red eye locked onto the sky. It didn't speak, but it felt alive, not like a drone, not like a robot, like something waiting to be unleashed. Inside the alien ship, one officer whispered, "That is not human technology," but another replied, "It is, just older." Hidden and very angry, the screen lit up with a signal. A single word flashed in Dravari language. "Target lost, CAC." The crew gasped. Cole hadn't moved, yet their ship was now targeted by the machine. "What is this thing?" Zilara shouted. No one answered, because just then, a deep pulse came from below. A second machine signal activated underground, echoing far across the region. Boom, boom, boom. The desert cracked in 3 more places. Long, thin cracks stretched across the horizon like veins under skin. More heat signatures appeared. 3 more hidden chambers. 3 more unknown machines. Sergeant Cole tapped the side of his helmet and said, "This is Earth's second layer. We built it long ago, not for war, but for the day war came back in the skies above." Zalara's ship began trembling. Her shields flickered. Sensors lost control. Energy spikes from beneath Earth were jamming their systems. "Commander," a technician cried, "we're blind. We're losing targeting." Zilara slammed her fist on the table. "Fire blind if you must," she ordered. "Destroy the human." Before this gets worse, back on the ground, small missiles launched from the alien ship. The sky lit up with blue trails of fire heading straight for Cole. But the machine behind him reacted first. Its right arm raised, and a glowing shield burst into the air like a wall of heat and static. The missiles hit, exploded, and vanished against the barrier. Cole didn't even blink. "You should have left," he said, almost gently. "You should have gone when you had the chance." More sounds rose from the earth, gears turning, engines warming, old power lines crackling alive for the first time in decades. From the shadows of the main chamber, a second weapon platform rose, a massive railgun, fixed onto a rotating turret. Its long barrel hummed, charging energy faster than any alien I could follow. The machine's voice finally spoke, deep and robotic. "Primary weapon. Online, The words echoed not just in the air, but through the earth itself. Birds flew from trees miles away. Animals fled. Even the sand seemed to pull back. The Dravari ship locked its shields and tried to climb higher. But it was too late. The railgun rotated, targeting systems active, waiting for Cole's next command. He walked slowly toward the turret, calm, controlled, without fear. He looked up at the alien ship, now panicked and shaking. "You mocked our weapons," he said. "Now watch what happens when we stop hiding them." Then he raised his hand, fingers curled into a signal. The turret fired, and the sky screamed. The sky turned red for a second, then white, then silence. The railgun's blast tore through the clouds like a spear of lightning. It didn't hit the alien ship. It passed just below it, close enough to shake the entire vessel and knock several Dravari officers to the ground. Commander Zalara stared at the screen, frozen. They missed. She whispered, but her voice lacked confidence. Sergeant Cole stood calmly in the dust below. He hadn't flinched, he hadn't spoken. That shot was not a miss. It was a warning. From the black pit behind him, the real weapon finally rose. The railgun was just its arm. Now came the body. A towering machine, 40 feet tall. Forged in dark steel with burning red energy lines running through its core. Its chest split open to reveal a pulsing energy heart. Something alive, old, and angry. The machine's head rotated slowly, its red eyes scanning the skies. With a sudden snap, it locked onto the alien warship inside the Dravari ship. Alarms rang louder than before. "Commander!" an officer shouted. "This weapon it's..." Thinking. Zalara growled. "No, it's being controlled." She stared at Cole on the screen. His hands now behind his back, calm, patient, like he'd done this before. "He's not just a soldier," she muttered. "He's a key, the ship's systems." Tried to scan the rising machine, but every time they did, their sensors failed. Unknown metal, unknown design, unknown power source. Even the shape was wrong. It didn't follow human military design. No angles, no bolts, no visible circuits. It was smooth, seamless, almost like it had grown from the ground instead of being built. It didn't walk, it didn't roll, it shifted. Like it was part of the planet itself. Cole took a step forward and spoke. "Project Earthclaw," he said, "ready for engagement." The machine responded in a deep, ancient voice, acknowledged primary operator Cole. The aliens went still. Their translator confirmed the machine recognized him. Personally, not just a soldier, not just a survivor, but someone chosen. Maybe someone born for this. "Prepare weapons," Zalara barked. "Target the human and his machine, her." Officers tried, but the control panels flashed red. Every weapon system refused to lock. Every targeting AI looped in error. One message blinked over and over again. "Denied hostile technology jamming us below." Earthclaw's arms folded back, exposing weapon pods, plasma bolts, gravity fields, and a single silver barrel with glowing blue rings. Something old school, something human. The aliens didn't know it. But every weapon on Earthclaw had been tested in secret wars. Cole's ancestors had built this for enemies far worse than the Dravari. And now it was awake. The ship above finally managed to fire a pulse cannon. A massive blue beam launched toward the Earth. Cole didn't move. He didn't need to. Earthclaw raised its left arm. A hexagonal shield flickered into place. The alien beam struck it, burned bright, and vanished. Absorbed without even pushing the machine back, inside the ship, one alien whispered, "It ate our weapon." Zalara turned pale. She realized that truth, this wasn't defense, this was control. She turned to her second in command. "Call the fleet," she said. "Tell them Earth is not unarmed. Meanwhile..." Cole walked toward Earthclaw's side and climbed a hidden panel. It opened like a door, revealing a small command room deep inside the machine's chest. He stepped in, placed his hand on a scanner, and whispered, "Let's go loud." The machine responded. Full battle mode unlocked. The ground beneath the machine opened even more, revealing its base was not legs, but roots, steel roots connected to old launch bunkers, deep Earth energy lines, and long-dead satellites now coming back to life. Around the world, other buried. Machines stirred, not as big, not as loud, but alive. Cole looked through the machine's display, showing the ship in his sights. "You wanted a war," he said. "Now watch what happens when Earth stops holding back." Earthclaw's chest lit up, the energy inside spinning faster. It wasn't just powering up, was sinking, calling others, awakening systems long forgotten. The stars above shimmered, and far away, in space, the first human satellite blinked red and began transmitting again. The world had changed. And this time, humanity was ready. The sky didn't just light up, chattered. At least, that's how it felt to the Dravari watching from orbit. 1 second, Earth was still wounded. Quiet the next, it roared. Earthclaw moved without warning. Its right arm unfolded, revealing a long silver barrel. Rings of blue energy pulsed along its length like heartbeat waves. The entire machine bent its knees slightly, anchoring itself into the ground. Sergeant Cole sat inside the cockpit, watching a dozen screens at once. Target locks, shield levels, terrain maps, and one blinking message, ready to fire. He tapped a glowing button on the right. "Show them what Earth can do," he whispered, outside. Earthclaw let out a hum so deep it shook the rocks. Then the silence snapped. A single pulse of energy burst from its armor beam faster than sound. Pure force and light. The alien ship's shields flared bright, absorbing the hit, but it didn't hold. With a crack like thunder, the left side of the Dravari ship exploded. Fire poured from the damaged wing, blue metal twisting and breaking apart inside. Commander Zalara was thrown from her seat. Her officers screamed, running to control panels, trying to stabilize flight. Sparks burst from the ceiling, smoke filled the room. Direct hit. Someone yelled. "Port side is gone." Zalara pulled herself up and grabbed the rail. Blood ran down her cheek, but she didn't care. She stared at the main screen. The human machine stood still, but its eye was glowing brighter now. "That thing," she growled, "it wasn't meant to fight us. It was meant to end us on the ground." Cole stepped out of the cockpit, standing on Earthclaw's shoulder like a silent sentinel. The desert wind blew around him, filled with dust, ash, and the sharp scent of melted metal. His voice came through every frequency the Dravari could hear. "This was your warning shot," he said. "The next one doesn't miss." From orbit, more alien ships were beginning to descend. They were faster, heavier, ready for war. But Earthclaw wasn't alone anymore. Around the world, underground vaults were opening. Smaller machines, less elegant, more brutal, crawled out like waking giants. The planet itself was waking up, back on the battlefield. The Dravari tried a second attack. 3 plasma missiles, launched from the ship's remaining launcher. They curved toward Earthclaw with perfect speed and precision. But the machine didn't move. Instead, 6 drones flew out from its back like sparks from a fire. They weaved through the sky, spinning, pulsing, and then detonated mid-air. The missiles vanished in the light, gone before they got close. Scotch. Dravari scanners blinked red threat, neutralized, and then blinked again. Second target. Itona Fidzella turned to her officer. "What second target?" she asked. The officer swallowed. "Commander," he said, "it's us." Earthclaw locked on to the command ship, not just the lower cruiser. The main vessel above the clouds, the one Zalara called home. Cole was looking at the stars now. Eyes calm, voice steady. "You brought war to our world," he said. "But Earth never plays fair." He raised a hand again, and the machine responded instantly. A panel on its back opened to reveal a second weapon. It didn't glow, didn't flash, was dark. Silent and deadly. A rail cannon older than Earthclaw itself. One designed to pierce atmosphere and space armor in a single strike. Cole turned toward the camera drone still floating nearby. "This isn't revenge," he said. "This is protection. We were peaceful. You forced us to remember what we're capable of." Then, without a word, Earthclaw fired again. The cannon shot into the sky with a scream. The clouds split, the stars shook, and above, the Dravari command ship lost half its hull. Flames poured from the open wound in space. Escape pods launched, debris scattered like shattered bones. Zilara stared at the wreckage from her broken bridge, hand gripping the rail so tight it bled. "We underestimated them," she said quietly. "And now?" "We pay." Cole looked up one last time. "If you stay," he said, "you'll see the rest. If you run, you'll live just long enough to tell the others." Earthclaw stepped forward, slow and thunderous, not chasing, not hunting, just standing like a guardian finally awake, daring any enemy to come closer. The battle wasn't over, but the war had changed. The stars were burning. Pieces of the alien command ship still glowed in the sky like falling fire. Below, the Earth stood still, holding its breath, and Earthclaw stood tall, ready for whatever came next. But the Dravari were not done, not yet. Far above the battlefield, hidden behind Earth's shadow, another alien ship moved into position. This one was smaller but faster, a Dravari stealth craft, built for a single purpose. Silent retaliation inside. Captain Vec of the Shadow Wing Squad. Receive the order. Destroy the human machine at all costs. Forget honor, use everything. Captain Vec's face was covered in dark metal armor, his eyes cold, his voice robotic. He was not like Zilara. He had no interest in speeches. He only cared about results. "Target Earthclaw," he said, "and activate the phase blade." The ship cloaked itself and disappeared from all Earth scans. Even Earthclaw's sensors paused for a moment. Unsure, Sergeant Cole noticed the flicker. A small alert on his interface, a blip in the sky that lasted just a second. "Something's coming," he said. But it's not using weapons. Far above, the stealth ship began its descent. It didn't use missiles, lasers, or plasma. Instead, it carried a blade, a weapon made of condensed energy, sharp enough to cut a mountain in half. Their plan was simple: cut Earthclaw in one strike from above, before it could react. But Earth was never simple. As the ship reached the upper atmosphere, something changed. The stars dimmed for a moment, and an old satellite turned toward the Earth. Blinking red, inside the satellite, a code unlocked. Phoenix Protocol. ICTIV back on the ground. Cole felt the tremor before the sound. A deep pulse moved through the Earth. Not from Earthclaw, not from the desert, from the old mountain range. To the east, Mount Kepler, a place long forgotten. "What is that?" he whispered. The ground split, and a second machine began to rise. This one was different, smaller, faster, covered in angled armor and sharp limbs. A drone mech, part of the old Phoenix system, built for aerial combat and space interception. Cole smiled. They never saw that one. Earthclaw looked up as the enemy ship came into range. It didn't move, but the drone did. With a sonic blast, the Phoenix drone launched into the sky like a missile. It passed the clouds in seconds, rising straight toward the invisible ship. Inside the stealth craft, alarms finally triggered. "Incoming object," a voice said, "too fast to track." Captain Vec gritted his teeth. "Deploy the blade," he barked. "Cut through before we're hit." The energy blade extended from under the ship, humming like a star. It began its descent. A straight dive toward Earthclaw's core, but before it could reach the halfway point, the Phoenix drone hit it from the side, A collision of pure force and speed. The stealth ship spun, lost control, and broke into 1,000 burning shards above the clouds. Earthclaw never had to move. The sky protected it. Zalara, still recovering aboard her damaged ship, saw the explosion from afar. Her screen showed a replay, the Phoenix drone ripping the enemy apart mid-flight. She stared in silence. "They have more of them," she said. Not just Earthclaw. Her second officer, trembling, whispered, "Commander, we are not fighting a single machine. We are fighting the planet itself, down below." Cole received new data from the Phoenix drone. Another alien fleet had entered Earth's solar system. 30 ships, all armed, all coming fast. "They're sending everything now," he muttered. "No more tests, no more scouts." Cole walked back into Earthclaw's chest room. He placed both hands on the main panel. "Okay," and took a deep breath. "Open the vault," he said. "It's time we stop being polite." A second panel opened, revealing 3 ancient canisters, each glowing with unstable energy inside them. Were gravity corseband weapons capable of folding space in small bursts. Cole looked at the sky and whispered to himself, "Let's see how they like it." When gravity turns against them, Earthclaw's systems pulsed with new energy. The ground around it began to crack from the force. Small stones floated in the air, pulled by the magnetic fields now waking up. The real counterattack had just begun. The Earth had stopped waiting. Now it was answering. High above, the stars filled with Dravari warships, dozens of them, armed, armored, advancing fast. They expected chaos below. They expected fear instead. They saw Earthclaw standing still, glowing like a beacon, and next to it, Sergeant Cole, calm as stone, eyes sharp and waiting. The battlefield had changed, not because of brute force, but because of something far more dangerous: human planning. Inside Earthclaw, secret programs continued unlocking. One after another, hidden files came alive, coded by old generals, rogue scientists, and vanished Black Ops teams. Each one whispered the same word: "Unleash." Cole placed his hand on the main interface. Earthclaw pulsed red, then blue, then deep green. A voice came through the speakers. The same old machine tone, but now with a strange warmth. Connection with orbital grid restored. "Welcome, Operator Cole." Cole nodded. "Initiate EarthNet." Suddenly, a network of satellites activated around the planet. Not for weapons, not yet. They were eyes, ears, and hands of the planet. Each one locked onto an alien ship above Zalara, aboard her damaged vessel. Felt the change immediately? "Commander," her sensor tech shouted, "something is tracking us." "From orbit? From where?" she asked. The answer made her blood freeze. "From everywhere, back on the ground." Cole stepped forward and looked at the camera drones still hovering nearby. His voice went live to every Dravari frequency. "You always thought we were behind," he said, "too emotional, too slow, too primitive. But we weren't fighting the way you expected. We were thinking." He waved a hand across the air in front of him. And Earthclaw's massive shoulder opened. Inside was something alien, but not Dravari. It was stolen tech, studied and repurposed, fused into human designs. A reminder that humans didn't just build weapons, they learned. The cannon that unfolded from Earthclaw's back wasn't meant to destroy. It was meant to confuse. It created a field of shifting gravity, space distortion, and echo signals within seconds. The Dravari ships above started spinning out of sync. One ship's AI fired at nothing. Another tried to land on what it thought was stable ground, but hit an illusion. Their formations broke apart like glass hit with a hammer. Zalara screamed. "They're inside our systems. They've cracked our algorithms," but it was worse than that. They hadn't just cracked the code. They had rewritten it. Earthclaw launched the second Wavenaught missiles, not bombs. It released 6 drones. each shaped like triangles, glowing at the edges. They flew upward faster than light and latched onto 6 different ships. The moment they touched, the ships lost all control. "Gravity locks engaged," said Earthclaw's voice. "External." "Flight now under human command." Cole smiled faintly. "You should have known," he said. "We don't build for today. We build for when we're cornered." Far in the east, another mountain cracked open. From within, an old launch tower slowly lifted into view. On it sat a ship, small, dark, and silent. But this was the Edge, a secret Earth program, once hidden, now online. Designed not for defense, but for invasion. "Activate the Edge," Cole ordered. The tower released the craft, and it shot into the sky, faster than any human ship had flown before, straight toward the largest Dravari battlecruiser, still untouched. From orbit, the Dravari tried to destroy it, but nothing locked on. It bent light around it, dodged gravity, and moved like a ghost inside the command. Ship Solera's officers screamed again. "Incoming object, we can't identify it. It's human." The Edge hit the cruiser's coordinate with a bomb, but with a pulse. Everything inside the alien ship shut down. Engines, weapons, AI, even light. And in that silence, one human message appeared on every Dravari screen. "You were never fighting our weapons. You were fighting our will, back on Earth." Cole watched the chaos above. He wasn't smiling now. He was thinking. He knew what came next. The Dravari weren't just losing. They were about to do something desperate. Earthclaw sensors blinked. New energy signature detected. Warning, unknown source. Cole turned toward the dark side of the horizon. Something big was coming. Something the Dravari had held back until now. He tightened his grip on the panel. "Get ready," he said. "The final test is coming." The Earth was quiet. Too quiet. Not the calm of peace, but the silence that comes just before a storm so big, even the wind forgets to breathe. Sergeant Cole stood atop Earthclaw's shoulder, his eyes fixed on the horizon. The sky had turned darker. The night, not because the sun had set, but because something enormous had entered the atmosphere. Earthclaw's sensors blinked with urgency. Object incoming. Energy level critical. Origin unknown Dravari unit. Cole frowned. "That's not a ship," he said softly. "That's a weapon-wearing skin." From the darkness, it arrived, a towering being. Taller than Earthclaw, shaped like a creature, but made of living armor and humming cores. It wasn't flown, it wasn't piloted. 'Twas the pilot, the weapon, and the ship all fused into one. This was the Dravar Prime construct, a war form used only when a species refused to kneel. And Earth had not knelt. From space, Zalara watched through fractured screens. She had lost her fleet, her honor, her command. Now all she could do was watch as the Prime took over. Even her voice held no power against what had just descended. "They've unleashed the final protocol," she whispered. "Now, not even they control it." The Prime stepped onto Earth's soil. Each footfall splitting rock, its head turned toward Earthclaw, red eyes glowing like suns. It did not speak. It simply raised a claw and pointed at Cole. The challenge was clear. This was no longer about armies, fleets, or strategy. This was now one last duel. Between the best of two worlds, Earthclaw's voice spoke with a calm tone. "Enemy mass exceeds threshold. Survival probability, 14%. Cole placed his hand on the console. "Doesn't matter," he said. "We're not here to survive. We're here to finish this." The machine roared to life. Engines burned blue, armor realigned, and every weapon came online. The Earth beneath it cracked again, roots pulling energy from miles below. And then they moved. The two giants charged each other. Shaking the planet itself, claws clashed with steel fists. Lasers danced between them. The Prime moved like a beast, fast, unpredictable, full of rage. Earthclaw moved with purpose, every strike calculated, every block precise. Cole guided it. Like a conductor, he knew every system, every weak point, every secret switch hidden deep inside its ancient frame. But the Prime was learning, adapting, evolving with every strike. A slash tore Earthclaw's left shoulder. A plasma blast dented its chest. Cole coughed, blood in his mouth, systems blinking red. Almost out, Earthclaw said. Options exhausted. Not yet, Cole whispered. Run the fallback. Inside Earthclaw. One final chamber unlocked. A core that had never been tested, only theorized. A heart of raw quantum energy, taken from a failed black hole experiment. Decades ago, this will destroy both units, the machine warned. Cole smiled. Then, let's make sure we send the right message. He opened the outer speaker channel. Every Dravari ship, every satellite, every nearby system heard his voice. You came to our world. You mocked our weapons, our size, our fear. But you forgot the one thing you should never forget about humans. When we're out of options, when we're out of strength, we don't fall. We fight smarter. He slammed the final key. The Earthclaw's core began to spin, light surrounding the whole machine in a sphere of bending reality. The Prime lunged too late. A burst of energy exploded outward, not fire, not light, but memory. Every Dravari ship froze in space, their systems flooded with images they couldn't understand. Scenes of Earth, of fire, rebirth, hope, loss, sacrifice, and love. The emotions struck them harder than any weapon ever could. And then silence. The desert stood still again. No machine, no Prime, no Cole, only ash, metal, and a strange feeling in the air. A single drone floated above, still active, still recording. It blinked once, then displayed one last message across every surviving Dravari screen. We were never the strongest, we were never the fastest, but we always finish what we start, Earth. And in that final moment, across galaxies, the Dravari finally understood. You don't mock a human weapon, because sometimes the real weapon is the human behind it.